New South Wales government is facing fresh calls to tighten building regulations after another Sydney apartment block has been found riddled with structural defects. Shocked homeowners at the Vicinity apartments in Canterbury are demanding answers. The building company has collapsed into administration. The founder is wanted on fraud charges. Joining me now is buyer's agent and CEO of the property Frontline, Debra Beck-Mewing. Thanks for your time. There's another apartment block at the moment in Sydney with a lot of issues. Are these more common, do you think, right now? Or is it the occasional sort of spurt we see in the headlines from your experience?
Hello, Tom. Yes, we are starting to see more and more of these bad buildings come onto the market, traps for young players that, people really need to be on their guard to make sure that they don't buy a lemon.
Yeah, I guess to start off, first of all, how disappointing though is it, given the price of property in Australia, to have such disappointing buildings? Because people pour their life savings into this. In many instances, they shouldn't have to, run a fine-tooth comb and be, knocking on walls and looking carefully at joins. I'm not a building expert, and a lot of people aren't. That this is the disappointing part of sort of standards and surveyors, I guess.
Yes, and it has been a consistent problem that's been built up for the last 20 years. Around the country, though, governments are trying to increase standards, and we've just had a new star rating introduced in New South Wales that can help buyers at least be a little bit more on their guard before they even consider a particular developer. But I think we need to split the properties available into two different categories, because particularly with units, there's different approaches for whether you're buying something that's brand new, like off the plan, or whether it's something that's existing. So if it's a brand new apartment where it isn't already built, then it's more important to check the track record of the developer, and also just check whether they have, whether they're members of good associations. So reputable developers will be members of, the Master Builders Association or HIA, and of course, in different states now, you can Google and see, or check on the government's website to see whether a developer is rated or not. But when it comes down to buying property that is existing, there's quite a few traps that you can avoid just by doing some research before you even go to a property.
Right, so you mentioned the off the plan, and a lot of people will be pretty scared, frankly, about that. When it's already built, you're saying, first of all, pre-property research, and then once you get there, it strikes me that the issues you can see are probably the least of your worries. Maybe they hint at a dodgier build, but they're easier ones to fix. It's anything that's behind the walls, you can't exactly walk through and rip out. Anything structural is the big concern, but it's often hard to pick up, right?
It is hard to pick up, and that's why we always use a range of different documents and inspections to pick up on the things that you can't see. So things like leaky showers, so the pipes are behind the tiles, you might not necessarily see that, and a building and pest inspector will be able to check that kind of thing for you. But what we recommend is that when you're actually on site at an inspection, you use your senses. So what can you see? What can you feel? Like, are the floors spongy? And what can you smell? But then you take things to the next level. If if the property passes your first visual inspection, then you get a building and pest inspector to check out the property for you, and also check other documentation like the strata reports and your contract.
Yeah, lots of good advice. A lot of heartbreak out there, sadly, from what has been happening. Debra, appreciate your time today.